that I had made this week, a theme that I saw unfolding in my eyes, the people of Perugia, yeah? So as a photo reporter, as a storyographer, if you will, I am looking always with my phone as a way to be my reporter's notebook. And then I'm finding ways to share themes or things that I discover in my journeys. And so I'm using more and more tools in the multimedia set rather than necessarily the video tool set on my phone to do that. And to show them to you, I tried to sync. I can do this when my phone, apparently when I'm not connected to that video screen. I can mirror this screen and show it on my Mac and then project it, which is, you know, teaching mobile journalism. These are the things you have to deal with. Who here does some multimedia journalism already with their mobile phone? Anybody? Instagram? Okay, that's an idea. You know, it's this idea of being able to tell a complete idea, express a complete thought, give a complete point of view in an encapsulated and condensed way, a very concise way, very visually, you know, and those can be put into the stream. They can create an episodic feel. People can feel like they're part of those moments as they unfold, and even later you can reassemble things. So the pictures that I had just put on this story card using the Storyo app were pictures I had already tweeted out or Instagrammed out later, and now I can come back and kind of assemble them into a micro narrative. I'm going to go stand in front of that camera so you can see what's on my phone. And this is also for the people at home. Hi, everyone at home. This is going to be really awkward. It's unrehearsed. That's my phone, and Leonardo is going to, Leonardo's going to take that picture on his video desk. Now I can see what you're seeing. And one, this is not awkward at all. I made 2 story cards at least promoting this event as a proof of concept. So that and you guys can do this too. First one I want to show you is something called Nutshell. And so with Nutshell, you just open the app. It prompts you to tap the screen 3 times to take 3 pictures. And then you can go in and edit it. You can add little animations to it. Here it is, Nutshell. So there's my little story. I can edit it. I can add layers on top of that. And that was done really just 15 minutes ago, right, to promote this event. So you guys coming in, did you see those story cards? Did you see this? Is that why you're here? I hope so. Let me go back to Twitter and show you the other one. Bear with me. I need 3 hands to be a mobile multimedia journalist. This one was made with Storyo, the Perugia people, and it's going to load, hopefully. It's 15 seconds. If it doesn't load here, I will open it up in the app. So we're going to bail on that. This is what Storyo looks like. And with Storyo, you can select a range of pictures, and it'll automatically build a slideshow. And you can determine the duration. You can determine later what photos go in. Do you want to put labels on them? And then you have the option to then save it to your camera roll. So, what's on my camera roll? Oh, I did one more story card, Instagram, on the way here. People of Perugia, that's going to get added to the collection. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we're starting at the back of the room because this is the way I could show stuff that's on my phone. And the stuff that I'm making are story cards. And this is the latest piece I just put out, The People of Perugia, from photographs I took this week with my phone. And I chose a 15-second duration, I think. But I could have chose 30 seconds, 60 seconds. So with that little introduction, thank you, Leonardo. I'm going to go back to my pulpit and try to preach a little bit and try to mainly share some things that I've learned in multimedia storytelling, story cards, the challenges that face you as a traditional journalist or an electronic journalist. If you're out in the field, this is a man outstanding in his field. Last week I got back from Ireland, but we were there for 2 weeks doing extreme filming, trying to see what is possible, what is the highest quality you can get, what are some of the extreme environments you can be a mobile journalist, and what can you do in the field, and what is possible, what breaks, what are the lessons, and that's what I like to share with you guys. And I put all those lessons, of course, online at the Smart Film School. You can even get them on your phone, so they're accessible and always with you. You can check that out. So, there's 10 courses, and since this is multimedia, I'm going to be pretty much teaching from the mobile reporting multimedia journalism course, in which you can learn how to do 10 projects. You can learn 10 tools and ways to tell stories with those tools. So no matter where you are, you can do that. So one of the keys, of course, is to gain the literacy for building sequences, building visually led stories. You may have an idea for a story, you may have some text, you may have a storyboard, you may already have written a story, 500 words, a blog about it. But when you're starting out to transform that into visual media, that's only going to inform your visual report. You're not going to necessarily be duplicating it, because you don't know what your finished story is going to be until you do that photo reporting, until you do that story finding, as I like to say. Or a new word I just heard, storyography, which I thought is a really good combination of words, story and photography. It all started back with our first forms of communications, those cave paintings. Telling visual stories is a powerful and magical skill and can create an impression that can last for a long time. So learning how to get the best quality out of your camera is number one, whether that camera is a mobile phone or a more expensive one. And then, basics like composition and lighting, and then connecting shots together. As you start to see, that's really important to not just put random pictures, but kind of really hone in on things that connect, so that it makes a really focused package at the end. And it just takes a lot of practice. But what's really nice is now the tools are pretty much free. All the tools I just showed you are free. And it saves the media to your device, which lets you decide what platform you want to put it on. So it's really great. But it is about finding and creating news snacks. Yeah, snackable, shareable, swipeable, streamable, everything that starts with S, for mobile consumers. So when I teach, when I do this, is usually a one-day workshop. If you're doing it in person, we've got maybe 50 minutes left, and you're getting a compressed one. But who here is a photographer? Anyone's done professional photography? Professional photography? Are you doing any on your mobile phone? Are you doing more and more on your mobile phone? At first, we all resisted it. It was like, oh, it's crap. I've got a $5,000 blah, 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 Canon, blah, blah, ends in D something, yeah? Why do I want this thing? I do too. I have also very expensive video cameras. And for years I've been teaching photojournalism, photo reporting, video journalism, social media, blah, blah, blah. And it's all intersecting here. And the reason it's intersecting here is it's not because this is a better camera, technically. It never will be. It's not going to have real lenses, what I call real lenses. It's not going to have real microphones built into it, what I call real microphones. Things that look like this. I was going to pull one out of my bag because I always carry a real microphone with me. But it's smarter than any of those other expensive cameras I have. Every other camera I have is dumb because it's not connected to killer apps. It's not connected to my audience, yeah, at any time. And that's why this is the killer app. 7 years ago, when I stood on a stage in Cairo, Egypt, to a big gathering of media publishers, broadcasters, I had the first iPhone. I brought the first iPhone into Egypt. I had just got it the day before in America, and I was on a flight. And I held it up, and I said, this is now the new reporter's notebook. And the most interesting thing I can say now, 7 years later, is that the camera was the least interesting part of that device, but it was still transformative because of the connection. Today, I can say it is actually the most powerful part of this device, and the connections have just grown stronger and more powerful and more flexible for storytellers. So, as you can see, I'm constantly evaluating, experimenting, putting these tools, when I test them, I want to put them into live fire experiences, because when I train field reporters, I want to be able to tell them, hey, that works every time. Here's 3 ways you can do it. Go try it right now. So if we were doing this as a proper workshop, it wouldn't just be sitting back there taking notes and tweeting about this. You'd be getting a lesson like that in Storyo. You'd get a demo, make sure you got the app, and then we're going to go out in the field and we're going to try it. And you're going to get the knowledge firsthand. That's really the best way to do it. So maybe just start with a small core set of multimedia apps and see what's possible. Play with the photos that are already on your device. See if you can now tell a story in new ways. Got a collection of people in Perugia? Make a slideshow. But I like to show maybe these 4 examples, because I've already got them here in my presentation and in my course. And you know, that's the other thing, is whenever I get new apps, I make new video lessons and I update the courses. So this new stuff that I've been learning about and making examples with over the last couple of weeks, well, those are all going to be put into some new courses, into new lessons. So has anyone heard of JamSnap? Have you made many? Oh, so you see it and now you have it. You just were like that. You downloaded it. So you sucked out all the bandwidth of the room. Oh, that's great. No, it's not that big of an app. And I know this developer is in San Francisco, and he's really interested in working with journalists and organizations to improve the app. So he's easily reachable. His name is Mayank. And JamSnap lets you add sounds to pictures. You can add sounds to pictures from either sounds that you've already recorded on your device, pictures you already have recorded, or the app really just prompts you to take a picture and then touch it, and as long as you hold it down, it will record sound from that scene. Up to 60 seconds. Touch it again, you can add another sound from that scene. Up to 60 seconds. You can do that up to like 20 sound bites you can have on a single picture and tweet it out. It's really fun. It's a really great way to start thinking about, how could I make that a story card? Maybe that's a different way to do an interview, you know? Or how can I take my audience, my followers, into new places and give them that immersive experience that audio brings, you know? That audio layer informs us at a primal level, you know? It's the first sense to develop in the womb. So it is tied to our very DNA. The ability to gather and experience so much information sonically. And JamSnap lets you do that. ThingLink, who's ever used ThingLink? Maybe on the desktop. ThingLink, similar concept. Now, of course, it's an app on your mobile device. It lets you add hotspots to photographs to create interactive images. And when I teach this to reporters, and I've used it for years because it was a desktop service, free again, they found so many interesting ways to tell stories. Take a picture in a market. Maybe you're doing a story about food prices going up, right? So a picture from the fruit stand, and then hotspots to each item can just say what the price was a year ago, what it is today. It could be a web link to a government report. It could be anything. It could be other photos. It could be YouTube videos. So ThingLink lets you create interactive photos with your mobile device. Flipagram. Has anybody used Flipagram? Oh, you like Flipagram? Yeah? What have you used it for? I'm curious. And I'll say what she's saying so that Mike picks it up, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I used it twice to make a storytelling about my region, Korea.
So you used it twice, and did you use it to make like 15-second videos?
Yeah.
And why 15 seconds?
Yes, I tried to use, I put some music on it.
Okay.
and some pictures about my region.
Sure. Oh, they're going to give you a mic, then I don't have to repeat all that. Okay, sorry. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So you made some reports from your region,
Yeah.
photographs, and some music.
Yeah. I found it, amazing for that. Yes.
It is. So that's the default. Remember, a lot of these things aren't built for professional storytellers. They're built for consumers, right? And so they tend to put in these filters. They tend to put in these, all the defaults go towards creating kind of what I call consumer crap media. Sorry if that's you. But you can also do voiceovers. So you can take those 5 pictures and you can say a few words about each picture, and you can create a video news clip without ever turning on a video camera. And that's really powerful. Mixel. Has anyone used Mixel? Mixel or Photoroos. There's many different types of apps that do this. That it lets you create a photo collage from 3, maybe up to 4 pictures to create a powerful story card that you can share on social media. You can put on blog posts, any number of ways to make a more interesting photo report. So this was how my multimedia pane looked up until recently. As you can see, I'm still adding apps. And this is probably the biggest tip that you'll probably want to do is organize the apps on your device around the stories that they tell. So on my phone, I've got a screen just for video apps, separate from everything else. And I've got a screen just for audio apps, yeah? And I have a pane or a screen just for multimedia apps, okay? This saves you time, especially when you are under pressure, in the field, something's happening, you need to get to that app right away because that's what you need to use to capture it. Some others that I use a lot, Camera Plus is my favorite picture editing program. Again, I just avoid all the consumer crap filters. I go right down to the pro settings called the lab. And I go in there and I do things that I would have done when I was working at the newspaper. I used to work in a newspaper, I used to edit the front page, and I used to have to work a lot in Photoshop to correct pictures, or we would work with technicians to correct pictures, just to bring them back to the way they should have and looked at the scene, not to put special effects and make them look like they're from a film stock of 60 years ago. So I go into the lab and I make my pictures look as good as they could if they need any editing at all. Usually I don't. But one of the things I like to do is, because it is a poor quality sensor in relation to a $5,000 camera, and you don't have a raw mode, but what you can go in and do is do some pro level stuff, and that is adjust your highlights and shadow detail, which really is a big tip if you want to, if your phone isn't taking good pictures in contrasty light situations. Camera Plus can save you. So the first step is, of course, get your pictures. If they need any correction, correct them, and then you start to say, okay, ask yourself, is that a multi-picture story? Maybe I'll think about a static display of it and use an app like Mixel or Photoroos to make a collage. Is it a sequence of pictures? You know, my instinct was, well, now I had collected a number of people of Perugia pictures. Maybe that's a slideshow. You know, I also could have just dropped them into iMovie. I could have, done a voiceover track narration. But the problem is, creating a slideshow in iMovie, it again has that consumer crap layer as the default, and every picture is a Ken Burns effect. It makes you sick after a while. So you can slow that down. It takes a lot of time. Sitting there, little screen, pinching and zooming, and try and make the in match the out as much as possible, or maybe you just want the smallest motion, because that's really what pro filmmakers know, is they know it's not always about a lot of fast motion. Sometimes it's very subtle, yeah, and slow over time. So I like apps, like the ones I was showing you, like Flipagram or like Storio to make those. So that's a big tip. Get organized, and then get your literacy improved in terms of shot sizes. Who here knows what I'm talking about? Now we were in film school. You're in the smart film school. Who knows what I'm talking about when I use the English shot sizes? Does that mean anything? Now we're talking medium. So she's saying, yeah, do you mean medium? As soon as you say medium, what else? What's another shot size? Medium, wide, and close-up, that's the see Bob run kind of basic grammar for film and television. And so the ability to know that it's not enough just to only make wide-angle shots at the back of the room so that you can feel like you've got everything. It means that when you're taking pictures of people, the most interesting pictures of people are often ones that don't include their shoes, or if it is about her shoes or his shoes, then it's only their shoes getting a close-up, as well as an establishing or a wide shot, and then maybe a medium shot. So if you were talking like, how could I take 3 different pictures of a person to tell a story that would connect together? That's one way to do it, with wide, medium, close. There's other things that I teach called shot patterns, which also expand on that concept, that you can take a number of pictures of a subject of your story that will connect together, that build on that idea. But once you have the pictures, that's when you start actually writing your story. Has anyone done this? Has anyone actually built videos where you write to pictures? If you haven't, we're going to do it. I think we're going to do it. Now I've got an idea. None of you have done this. Is everyone understanding me? Really? You've never written to pictures? Okay. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's not hard. It's just doing it in the reverse order than you may have done before. Yes? You're going to need the microphone if you want to talk to me, I guess, because they're live streaming and they want to capture all of that. So just, yes?
We were just trying to use PicMonkey for some pictures, for making a better engagement on Facebook.
Yeah, the research shows that visually led story promos or story cards get a lot more interaction with users, and engagement, I guess is the word, right? And the ability to create magic moments to make those interactive is even another multiplier to that. So that now the user is in charge of a 360 video, what part of the scene they want to see. Whether they can click on a picture and get more additional information, it rewards them, so they love you more, yeah? So let's, no one really knew what I meant when I said writing to pictures, right? Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. This is an imaginary story. These are not real people. These are not real people, but there is a real story going on here. Now, where did I take these pictures? I took these pictures at a campground in Germany. And for some reason, German kids build elaborate sets, even in the dirt with sticks, when they have their Playmobil characters. There's an incredible amount of imagination and story plot, character-driven story plot that are happening here. I know they're really small, but I can solve that problem because this is my wide-angle shot, and this is my close-up. So now you can start to see what some of these pictures look like. Soldiers in a trench with their gear over there all laid out, and someone guarding it. Now a detail of that gear. And then there's a whole nother world. And yes, there was a brother and sister. So that's when they had their own little dioramas, yeah. It's just amazing. And I got that, and it was taken with my iPhone 4. These were all just, I got down on my knees, and that's what's really cool about the camera. It can go places that you don't necessarily want to take your bigger camera. It can get into tight spaces, so. Oh my God, they're fighting. All right, so I'm going to show you these pictures. Ooh, that's mysterious. Look at the character up here at the wings. She might be seeing something she shouldn't be seeing. So, how many pictures do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pictures. Let's write 8 words for each. Imagine a scene, okay? And I'm going to go person to person, and this is fantasy, guys, okay? So take off your journalism hat. Put on your Playmobil, I'm a little child hat. Tell me what's happening in this scene. Tell me who's the protagonist, who's the antagonist, who's the hero, who's the villain. What's happening? Who's into this? Who wants to go first? Because you get to choose which picture you want to start the story with and give me some words. This is a fantastic exercise. You guys are getting hundreds of dollars worth of hands-on training right now with Playmobil characters. I'm going to pick on you. Do you speak English? What's happening here? 8 words. You can rewrite. Just start to riff on it and then come up with 8 words.
There is a night.
Mm-hmm.
A fortress,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Right.
And a bridge.
Right. There's a bridge. Okay, so you want to focus on those elements. And what can you do to attract the attention of someone maybe watching that story?
So maybe there is a knight that is trying to protect the fortress.
Mm-hmm. Stop right there. A knight is trying to protect. See, writing to pictures is very much rewriting. So that's what we want to say. That's what the picture says. But now how can we make those details more important? The knight has a name. Give him a name.
Arthur.
R2. Star Wars or I don't know. So R2 guards. I'll give you an active word. R2 guards. And maybe the fort has a name, you know. See, it sounds really easy. Just write 8 words to a picture, but it's a process. And what you're going through is exactly that path that you need to do on to really understand what I'm trying to teach here. So someone else, new picture. So R2 guards Fort Ticonderoga. Let's give it a fantastic name, yeah? And get the most value for our word. So R2 guards Fort Ticonderoga. Paolo, you're next, because I know you're gonna come up with something genius. This is Paolo.
I would say order.
1 word?
I'm trying to give in some emotions. So that's for me is order.
This is order, right?
Yeah.
But is there a way that connects with maybe the other shots? Maybe R2 guards Fort Ticonderoga, or as the soldiers clean up after the last battle. Something, I'm trying to find...
Ready for fighting?
Oh, they're getting ready for fighting.
I don't understand exactly what are those objects.
They're helmets and shields and armor. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I will say ready for.
Maybe they're resting after battle. See, these are the kind of things we have to inform a viewer of these pictures. We can't just say necessarily what's in the pictures. We have to write to them. We have to find the story underneath. Something that has a beginning, a middle, an end, a conflict, and a resolution. Okay? So let's try another. You want to try one since you spoke up? What's your name? You get the next picture. It's not hard. Now we're going into the other world. Now we're into the other world. These are fairies in English, and maybe I'll give you the word fairies.
Peaceful.
What do you think? What are you seeing? Just go ahead and say literally what it is, right? The fairies are having a party, they're dancing, something like that. You got nothing. Who's got something for this? 8 words. Come on, you're all journalists.
I would say all the guests arrived and they start dancing.
So the music is playing as the guests arrive in the fairy world. 8 words, something like that. Now we've got what filmmakers call parallel action. Yeah? We now have, not everything it started in the camp, but we shifted to another scene. The viewer still doesn't know, are these things happening at the same moment in history? They could have been one before the other. They could be parallel. So we have now really things that we can craft and look for to connect the shots together. Uh-oh, we have our conflict. Who's the warrior here? Who's a warrior? Who can give us some really good army words or go blood, and who likes violent video games? Yes, I'm moving to the back because you look like exactly the person. It's never the people you think. It's never the people that look like it. No, yes.
I try to be violent. Okay, fighting is a fight. Revenge. Revenge for, I don't know, the freedom of the little fairies.
They're fighting over a girl?
Yes, for the freedom of
They're fighting
one fairy.
They're defending the fairies.
Defending the fairies.
Okay, very good. Okay. And, you know, to improve those 8 words. So we know that's the theme, and now we want to then craft and write to that picture and include details. You know, who is fighting who? They have names, maybe where they're from. Maybe there's a prehistory about this. The fairies have been attacked before, and there's now a new battle, you know, something like that. So now we have conflict. We've introduced the characters. We've introduced 2 scenes. Maybe we have parallel action. You're going to look at pictures in a different way, I hope, by the end of this exercise. And now we have some intrigue. What's happening here? There's 2 fairies obviously having a very intense meeting. These are German children. German children. This is an intense Treffen, an intensive Treffen. Yeah? An intense meeting. How about you?
We can wonder they're discussing something important about what they're going to do after the battle that happened. Maybe how they're going to organize parties or a feast for the soldiers coming back.
Okay. So, you know, a lot of possibilities there. And maybe you decide that this isn't the right sequence. Maybe because it just came after the picture you saw before, but maybe this actually happened later in time or earlier in time, or maybe we want to put this event at the beginning or end of our story. So it could be like they're hearing rumors of an attack coming, you know, and they're scared. You know, that's one possible thread, if that's what is happening there. So this just goes on. And you can take those 8 pictures and 8 words per picture and end up with 64-word script. Yes? And then you can start to see, do I have the sequence right? Am I creating a lot of interest at the beginning of my visual story? What can the writing be improved? And at the end of the day, we record a voiceover narration. How long will that voiceover narration be? Anybody? 64 words. How long would that take? In seconds, for example. So, but total, 64 words is going to be 20, someone said 20 seconds. Around 20, 25 seconds if you put a nice pause in there. Maybe you pause for dramatic effect. Yeah? Let's say 25 seconds. Well, that'll work. So the reason we know that is the normal pace of speech is 3 words per second in almost every language, except Chinese. I don't know. But I don't know what a Chinese teleprompter looks like. You know, the screen that is in front of the television camera that the television actors, they're called presenters, what they're reading. All the words, there's 3 words per line maximum. So each line in a teleprompter of a news show is 1 second of airtime. So we know 25 seconds also means that we can make a video from that, and we can save it to our camera roll, and we can tweet it out. Because you can tweet up to 30 seconds of video directly from Twitter if it's on your device. So I've had, you know, when I work with students, we actually do this exercise over a couple hours, and they all have to write scripts, and they all have to put they come up with their own interpretation of these pictures. And it's a really good proxy for what you might, for what you encounter in real life, because it really comes down to those different shot sizes, figuring out which characters you're introducing, the locations that you're introducing, the conflicts that are being talked about how they might be being resolved, and it is that visual grammar. We don't have to be taught to watch movies. Imagine 100 years ago, it's only 115 years ago, right? The first movies came out. And the only way that the film directors could change shots was to stop the camera, change the actors on the stage, because they were just basically like filming plays or filming like trains coming and stuff, and then start the camera again, yeah? We can do, and then they learned how to cut the film together. But the audience didn't need to a preamble of how to watch a movie, even though for, you know, all of our evolution before this, we, you know, follow moving pictures. We think as a continuous stream, but actually scientists, and I just read a great article on this today, we really don't. We really have this really focused area on our eye, and it's constantly moving. We blink. And so people didn't get scared or panicked watching movies. You didn't need to be taught how to read a movie, but you do need to be taught how to tell one through a sequence of pictures, and that's what you're getting here. Because once you can do that, you can do it in small ways, and then you can take that out to flipogram. So you can take those 8 pictures from the Playmobil, or, in this case, a real-life story of some horses I found in a glass house. I mean, you know, I take bike tours with my wife all over Germany, and we see crazy stuff. And so I thought that's crazy enough, because I could just see it as we're going down this road in the Spreewald area, and I said, that might make a cool photo story. I didn't know how I was going to do it afterwards, but I just wanted to make sure I got the shot sizes, and I wanted to be able to put it together. And then I noticed, well, people outside of Berlin or this area of the world probably don't know where I'm talking when I say Spreewald, so I need to add a graphic. How did I add a graphic? I did a quick and dirty, cheap hack. I opened up Google Maps, and I took a screenshot. Now I've got a graphic. It's not interactive, but it helps. I also took a satellite view up from my Google Maps and made a satellite picture. So now you had another layer. So 2 free images that my camera didn't take, my device took. And then I wrote a script, doing the same exercise with you guys, but in the app, I can reorder my pictures as I write my script. And then I can go in and bypass that add music thing and do voiceover narration. So see, the first crappy consumer defaults are going to be, oh, take some music from my library. Okay, fine. Or find some music. But record voiceover narration, that was the key. And then you tap it to record. And you have to then tap the screen as you go from picture to picture. So I find it really helps to either have my script on an iPad or, God forbid, print it out and just go into production mode, yeah? And, of course, you can re-record if you make a mistake. It's no problem. It's a fast and easy process. And then you can save it out to your camera roll as a piece of video. And if you pay $1 or $2, I don't know what it costs, you can get rid of their logo on there. Yes, Paulo?
Are you making just a 50-second?
Yeah, you have a choice. It's either 15 or 30, I think. And 15 is, of course, what Instagram supports. 30 is what Twitter supports. So you kind of have the option.
Could you also frame the audio? One like a voice caption, one for each shot, or?
Well, in
doesn't
this
make
case,
sense?
if I'm going to use 5 pictures and I want a 15-second video, I'm going to be, you know, only have 1 or 2 words per picture. So, you know, probably for a 15-second video, I'm going to use less pictures.
But in every case, you can't pause the microphone, right?
No, you're going to have to record it in one take.
Right.
I think once you tap it again, it stops it. And then you just, but I mean, come on, man, it's 15, 30 seconds. It might, if you write it, I teach how to write the script so you can do it perfectly in one take every time. But if you can't, it only is another 15, 30 seconds to try again another one. And this is what comes out. Maybe it'll play.
German farmers do things differently. These horses graze in large houses made of glass. These massive greenhouses are found along one of the many bike paths in the Spreewald nature area. And at first glance, that might not seem unusual until you meet the occupants. Two beautiful riding horses who happily approach humans for a rub on the nose and then pose for photographs.
So, wow, right? All done with the iPhone 4. So that's the power in getting that literacy. Yeah? Yes, another question in the back. Who has the microphone? The woman in the back. She has some film. She's a filmmaker, I can tell. She's using the language. She's literate.
I wanted to ask if I see that this is a square format. What about tools for registering on the phone, but being able to export it to, I don't know, a news website or something like that, who will want to have like
Right.
16:9 or something like that?
So, okay, like I said, a lot of times we're dealing with things that are built for consumers and for where consumers are on different platforms. This is ideal for Instagram because Instagram is a square format platform. So if I didn't like that, didn't want that, wanted my 16:9 experience, I'm going to use a different tool. Yeah. And probably the tool I'll go to is a video editing program like iMovie or something similar, like Storyo, something that will create. So that's one of the things you have to, am I okay with that aspect ratio? Do I like it? Well, if my audience have a big Instagram following, I'm going to go there and I'm going to work within those limitations. If not, I want to go to YouTube. I probably want to have it, horizontal. So, of course, these are the places you can share it out. And one interesting thing, I like to do whenever I like to hashtag, I like to put URLs in, even within the description with Instagram. If you put a www on, you can hack Instagram and you can get a link back to your story. So if you're just creating a story card about that maybe the Spreewald area, and this is a vignette, this is one piece of a larger story. Well, now I've built that micro story as a gateway into a larger package and bring people back to my website where they can get more similar content or the rest of the story. Yeah. How are we doing on time? Oh my God. At least we did writing to pictures. If you've got nothing else, you can say, God, I got to play with Playmobil pictures today. That was fun. Mixel lets you create photo cards. I have found that 3, sometimes 4 pictures can be a really powerful way with different shot sizes, with a lot of detail that catches and fascinates people. Can be really good. This is a big snowstorm in Moscow that happened during one of my workshops when I was training broadcast reporters for Radio Liberty, Radio Svoboda, actually. Easy to do. Mixel. You really don't need to be trained how to use the app. It's pretty self-explanatory. Same with Photo Rus. We couldn't get Mixel in Russia, but we got Photo Rus, and it's similar. You just have to put up with some advertising, banners that show up. But at the end of the day, you get a clean image on your camera roll, and then it's up to you. Do I want to put it on Instagram or what? But what I want to get back to is just think about repeating patterns, a repeating pattern of close-up shots, work together to tell the larger story. So here's 3 close-up shots and then a wide shot, working together as one image. Oftentimes, students and even professional journalists' first efforts often include too many pictures. I don't need, and you don't need, all those pictures to show a process of making a coffee. So if you wanted to get this to 3 pictures, Mr. Photographer, now we're putting on our photo editor hat. What do you think are the 3 strongest pictures there? Okay. I'm going to go up here and address the screen. I think I'm tall enough. So this one? This one and this one. That's a good edit. Which one would you make biggest? Which is the largest?
Maybe just the coffee cup.
The coffee cup you would make like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would change the format of the first. I don't know how they shoot. I don't know how this picture I shoot it, but I would use the square format for the cup and panoramic format for the other two.
Yeah, and you can make that decision and you can test that out and put that edit together on the fly, and you can try different template designs. Again, the key to these apps, I'm giving you always the warning, there's a lot of consumer crap choices that you have to like filter out of your own head, because there's going to be things that are going to put a lot of color or texture or kooky themes or animations or cartoons. But if you're trying to do journalism and you're trying to do it straight, I mean, that might be fun for a feature story or something, but most of the time we just want to let the content of the pictures and our picture edit be the story and catch the attention and not do it. So I like that edit. I like that edit too. I would definitely would probably make the largest picture the man, or at least large enough. You know, I might start there. I said that's the most important because that's a human, and we as humans are really attracted to pictures of other people. It's what we're drawn to. But on the other hand, that picture on the top left has a bit of mystery to it. It also has leading lines. So it's also visually interesting to stay with a little bit longer. So I might try both. I might say, well, let's try one where that is the lead picture, and then try the opposite and see what I find. Here's a student's work. This was in Bishkek. These were Radio Liberty reporters from Turkmenistan. Trying then, after we did the critique of, hey, that's too many pictures, can you go back and do like a personality profile of an artist who draws with his feet because he can't draw with his hands. Now, I found a couple of those pictures repetitive, but I still liked it. I thought they were on the right path. But what does this 3-shot need? What picture's missing? What he's drawing. A really, really close up. And sometimes we're just afraid in our multimedia storytelling to get that close because you're getting inside people's personal space, but it's what you got to do. And it's all about the relationship you build, not with the camera, but with your subjects that will allow them to feel comfortable with you getting in on close shots. Another one that would be his face, you know, maybe if he's done. To me, all 3 pictures are the same. They're the same picture. So it's missing a couple other pieces. I would say one could be his face, just making a portrait, you know, have him look into the camera. Try that at first. And then a piece of what is at the end, you know. And then the mystery is solved between the face and the drawing. And then you realize the surprise is, oh my God, he did it with his feet. That's cool. That becomes a lot more fascinating. And you can do it in 3 pictures. Question, Paolo. Here comes the microphone.
Is that big frame or another one?
This, the apps I'm familiar with are Mixel and Photoroos.
This is the Mixel.
But they all pretty much are similar.
Oh, okay.
It's whatever your taste is. Because I think once you get beyond an app that you're comfortable with, that works every time, that gives you the flexibility, you'll figure that out on your own. I'm giving you some suggestions. You may have ones you like. Don't worry about the tech. Only worry about the storytelling, because that's the next thing. That's what's really going to be the game changer for you in creating photo cards. And this is one of my favorites, surfboard maker. Yeah. So now we're using, instead of 3 close-up shots of a still life of a guitar, all those details are beautifully crafted on a musical instrument, right? Now we have 3 pretty much medium close-up shots explaining a process, right? A beginning, middle, and end as he sands and he prepares, and then boom, you got the big dominant image, wide shot, finish. So 3, okay, 4. You can see I like this pattern a lot as well. 4, but no more. JamSnap. JamSnap works really great. And you can get professional audio when you can attach an external microphone to your phone. And this is what they look like as you take your picture and you tap and add sound recordings. And when you pick up, it's done. If you want to then get rid of something, you just grab it and swipe it off the screen and it disappears. And no, there's no undo, so beware. But in this case, it's just the sounds of a train station in Berlin at Hackerschmarkt. So each sound is recorded, again, using shot sizes. And it sounds strange, but I'm using the microphone as I would a camera. So some of those sounds are further back from the train to just get the ambiance, yeah? The environmental, atmospheric sounds. And other ones are done at close-up, the sounds of a door opening, the sounds of the overhead intercom, the announcement of the train, the station. Details. Details. So this is one creative way to use JamSnap. And it's really very simple. You take a picture, you add one or more, and they call them sound tags. I like that. And then you share it. Boom, boom, boom. So I do this a lot with street musicians in Berlin, because there's a lot of them, especially in the summertime. Just to give a vignette, just to give a photograph, and then a sound of his guitar, again, a close-up, sound of his singing. You can see I put the sound over the microphone, so I've got a few seconds of him when he was just playing guitar, and at the same song, I got a few of him maybe singing the chorus, and then the last one over there is the audience clapping at the end. So now a user has a fun, interactive, short experience that you made with your mobile. ThingLink. Maybe you saw this because I had featured this in my talk the other day. I created a story card using ThingLink to promote a multimedia story that I made using Storehouse, which was which followed a former East German scientist as she retraces the steps of the Berlin Wall, because she had escaped 4 days before it fell, defected, escaped the Stasi, pretended she was going on holiday, found her way to Austria, and then to Hungary, to Austria, only to arrive with a West German passport in West Germany to watch the wall fall on television. So found a great character, but I used ThingLink to tell the story of how the story was made and to invite people in, because this story was also told in real time. I used Storycards to advertise, hey, follow with me over the next 2 days. I'm going to be using my bicycle and my mobile phone, and I'm going to retrace the steps of this ceremonial lighted wall, and you can follow along. So I put a few pieces of content up, and then I updated it, and I let people know, by the way, now here's another chapter in the story. Now we're here. It's day 2, and we're anticipating the balloon launch. And so the story was written and rewritten in real time, unfolding events over 2 days, and I was promoting aspects of it with story cards. And ThingLink let me build a master story card saying at the end, look, here's how it was made, this is what I used, and here's another hotspot, you can go right to a piece of video, here's another hotspot, you can go right to that Storehouse multimedia package. So these are the more advanced ways to use some of these simple ideas. And I think with that, guys, the multimedia workshop is going to have to come to a close. How much time do we have, Leonardo? 2 Minuten? Oh, 3 minutes. Okay. Any more questions?
Can you suggest an app that we can use to record video and add our voice underneath?
Yeah, iMovie will let you do voiceover as a separate audio track, and that's a really powerful thing. And you can actually record video sequences and build that as a sequence over either your piece to camera or an interview response. So you can do stuff that we used to only be able to do with laptops and programs like Final Cut or Premiere or Avid. Yes?
I didn't get the name of this app.
This app, iMovie.
Ah, okay.
I-M-O-V-I-E.
But do you have something, because can I use iMovie on my iPhone?
Yes, you can use iMovie on your iPhone. It is a different app. I've got a whole course that shows you how to use it in a professional way, because there are things, a lot of the features are there, but you have to dig in. Yeah, and I show you exactly right where to go, because if I could, I would love to do this. We just don't have time. We don't have time. Yes? Hold on, we're getting a microphone. Can I embed this? Yeah. Yes. You get sharing tools. You see up on the top, there's an icon, sharing. So you get an embed code. And what's really cool is, like, if you share it just through Facebook or Twitter, it's also interactive, so people can interact on it. And when it's on your website, I mean, it's interactive as well. Yeah.
And a program like iMovie for Android phones?
And it's not because, I mean, I had to teach hundreds of reporters. They had the IT guys wanted Android for security reasons. This was 3 years ago. Now they would choose iPhone. But it can't go as far. You can't get to that caliber of professional editing. So what can you do? You have to work within limitations. We're always having to work within limitations. So YouTube Capture is a free app from YouTube, works on Android, and will let you do straight cuts. Okay, you can't do split edits where then you can go and record voiceover narration under, like you can in iMovie. You can't take a sequence of pictures and then drop it over a soundbite, stuff like you see on television news. You can do that in iMovie, but you can't do it on Android. And it's because it's not why can't Android do it. You shouldn't be able to do it. The only reason you can do it is because Apple, at the molecular level, coordinates the hardware and the software. That's why they say that's the best system, is a closed system, because if you have too many manufacturers making too many changes and too many versions of your operating system, and only some things work and some features are supported on some devices because some manufacturers don't want consumers to do that, then you have chaos. And that's the problem with video, and that's where you see the chaos in Android, is with video. But a lot of the apps I showed you guys, other than that, also work on Windows Phone and Android. So that's the good news, okay? The ones that are more platform-based, yeah?
What about adding text to the videos?
Adding text to videos, again, it's easiest for me to do it in iMovie. But again, I have to work within their presets, and I have to be creative about how I use them. But I was able to do that. If you look at the hashtag IrishEyes15, you'll see I was doing 30-second videos, and I had some nice little pieces of graphics text. Yeah. I think, guys, we're over time now. They're giving me the signal. So thanks for coming. See you online in the Smart Film School and in Perugia on the streets.